Yes. I can like close out of the app or minimize this.
That other one, but like.
Should I press record here? Both.
Okay, now I see the staff report.
No.
Still not amused.
Well, she joined last time without us needing to.
I'm
work
expecting
through-
that.
Although she
There
is.
she is. Hi, Heather. Heather, can you hear us?
We're expecting Ned, right?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, thank you. I haven't heard from Ned.
Yeah, but it is time of new.
We have a core.
Alright.
Just put that.
Are you doing that? Yeah. Okay. Welcome to the Hyde Park City Planning Commission meeting. Today is Wednesday, August 5th, 2026, and it's a little after 7 p.m. We have with us Commissioner Mose, I'm Commissioner Lee, and this is Commissioner Williams, and we also have Commissioner Taylor via Zoom. Say hello, Heather. She's probably on mute.
Hello, I am here.
All right, thanks, Heather. Just want to make sure that everybody else knows you're here too. I'm not just making up people. Anyway, we have a quorum. We will start with the opening thought or prayer and pledge of allegiance, and Commissioner Williams has agreed to do that today.
We'll do a prayer. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful that we are able to be here as representatives of Planning Commission and the members of our community that are here and Hyde Park employees. We're grateful for all the time and effort that everybody puts in to making our city a better place. Pray that we will have thy spirit with us, that we will be guided and keep in mind the most important things for our residents. They're to recognize their constitutional rights and protect their liberties as we craft codes and ordinances and zoning. And we pray for this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the pledge.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Williams. Next on the agenda is approving the minutes from our last meeting, which was July 15th. Commissioner Mose, did you have anything, corrections on those?
I did not.
Commissioner Williams?
I just noticed, I think it was page 9, it said a commissioner talked about maybe
Yes.
moving the public hearing. I think that was Commissioner Mose, right? It
No.
said those should be the purview of the city council, not the.
When it
planning
talked
commission.
about public hearings, some of
Or-
those should be at city council level versus your level. So if we want to be more specific, we could name that
That
commissioner.
said commissioner.
Yeah, I would have said that. It would have been me.
If you want to add it, it was specifically
Hey,
Commissioner.
Commissioner is fine if you want to add my name.
The a commissioner, like
He
a random commissioner said.
Commissioner, who
Have-
should remain nameless.
He who must not be named. All right. Heather Taylor, do you have any corrections on the minutes?
I don't, but it was Commissioner Mose that said that. But
Called out.
They have a reputation, I guess.
It's a good one. It's a good one. All right. I would look for a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Mose and a second by Commissioner Williams to approve the minutes. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
I,
opposed, say nay. Okay, sorry, Heather, I didn't quite give you enough
He's on
time.
just a little
But
delay.
yep, we gotcha. You're an I instead of an
Yeah,
A.
sorry.
No, you're fine. You're probably going on and off mute. That's what I would be doing.
I am
on
doing on
Zoom.
and off. So just give me a pause second.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay, next is our planning staff report. And on the sad side, it's Kyle's last meeting. We'll miss you.
Last PC meeting, I'm begging him to come and get to present his items at city council
Ye-
next week. He's worked so hard on
That
that.
he's
I'd really like him to
Work
get
through the
that.
process. Yeah.
Trying to rope him into that, but
I'm sure who doesn't want to attend a 4-hour city council meeting?
and speak in public. It's just
Yes.
on top. And so, yeah, we're hoping that will happen. But yes, publicly thank Kyle for his hard work. He learned so fast and picked up on everything that I laid down, and he did every little task, no matter how minute or mind numbing it was. And he did a great job every time. So
And you're at Utah State? Go Utah State, go Aggies.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Yeah, it's been great having you. Okay, anything else for your staff report?
no, that's it.
Okay. We have 2 administrative items. Preliminary plat, the first is a preliminary plat approval for the Juniper Ridge Middle School subdivision.
Yes, and I'm hoping that the applicant is here and ready to present his application. You can come on up to the mic.
Lance Anderson with Cash Landmark Engineering, representing the school district, and also Blaine Hamlin with Heritage Development. So when this project took on and we looked at for the middle school, there was a property to the north and we jointly went in together to build and construct the road. It's time for us to now look at dedicating that road, the second south, but also part of that, the property that was purchased by the school district included several different parcels. And so we're combining into one parcel. With the development, of course, we need to put some easements. So the purpose of the plat is to put easements on there, stormwater easements, utility easements, and the road dedication. So part of that application is that it's us and Heritage Development. We only own to the center of the road. Heritage Development, which has been building and constructing, owns the other north side of that road. Just recently, for preliminary plat, again, we know that after the preliminary plat comes a final plat. Just recently, there's some items that we need to take care of as far as construction. Of course, the construction's almost complete. Hopefully we have everything ready for school.
Yeah, can I break in for just a second? This seems really late to be considering a preliminary plat. Is this an amended preliminary plat?
Nope.
No, you can build a
So
whole
little
building
bit of
without.
history on that, yeah. So a little bit of history is when we were doing construction, we submitted a preliminary plat. I think there was a process that we missed. We thought that we had approval on a preliminary plat.
And no one noticed you built a whole building?
Well, so you have to understand that school districts have different
Yeah,
entities, their own district, their little city,
right.
right? So there are certain things that we have to go through. So yes, those were approved. When we submitted a final plat, it was like, oh, that's been over a year, so you need to go back through the preliminary plat process. So that's why we're here.
So you had a previous preliminary plat and final plat approved?
No, we
No.
never did a final plat.
Never did a final plat.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we submitted a final plat to be approved, but it was supposed to be a year after. It was a year after we had already verbally got the commitment of all the construction drawings on the preliminary plat that was there.
Okay,
And we made all those changes, but what was found is there was no record of coming to planning commission and a few things, so we just want to make sure the process is done right.
and I'm not really worried. Staff doesn't seem to be jumping up and down either, so you're
So-
probably fine.
Yeah, so we're just making sure we do it right and get it taken care of, so,
We appreciate that.
and have any questions that you have. But that's all that I have as far as our application goes.
Okay. Commissioners, questions? or a motion?
Well, I mean, I saw so many things on a list of things on the site inspection.
Right.
Yes, if you read the staff report, you'll understand that technically a complete application was provided to the city. When I took it to DRC, it was determined to be unreviewable due to the large amount of missing information within the application. The school district didn't see a need to provide us with any of the documents we requested. I did send a letter out requesting this information. 30 days went by with no response. And so that's why I put it on the agenda today, to move it along through the process. So I believe the motion at the end of my staff report is for an unfavorable recommendation due to the fact that we just don't have all of the information that we would normally have on a preliminary plat application. We've kind of had to beg for everything we've gotten. And I think the only reason we got what we got was because I let them know they were going on the agenda, whether they were ready or not. An inspection was done today. Oh, that was yesterday? Couple days ago. There we go. Site inspection, PDF from Sunrise. There's probably a full page at least of items that they'll fix before final plat approval, hopefully. Yeah.
Lance, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, so this is a preliminary plat and everything that was requested is the stuff that you do for prior to final plat. So we totally agree that all that stuff needs to be done for final plat. The stuff that was requested was all of our construction stuff that was records and everything else. And it took us a while to compile it or find out what was done on that. And so, yes, in regards to that, we feel like that was all stuff that was required prior to the final plat approval. That's in that regards. So everything as far as a preliminary plat, we feel it's applicable. We have all the other stuff that needs to be done prior, like she said, on this inspection report before the final plat is approved. So a preliminary plat is usually done and then you construct. So the items that were asked were all about construction. That's why I'm saying we're asking for approval because we've submitted all that stuff. Yes, it needs to be reviewed, but it needs to be all approved and all the inspection stuff needs to be done before the final plat is approved. So we don't disagree with that. It's just preliminary plat is, you don't have all that stuff for preliminary. Preliminary is to say, hey, we're going to do this. Well, we've already done that. Now we need to make sure everything's complete.
I guess I was thinking both of those would be approved, a preliminary plat and a final plat before anyone digs dirt.
Long before construction.
I would agree with that. This is Commissioner Taylor.
Well, not necessarily. You can do your construction, right? You can file your final plat. You can do a bond and wait to file. For example, Heritage Development hasn't filed their final plat. They've got it approved. You can do construction with your preliminary plat and your construction approved of construction drawings. That's normal
In Hyde Park City?
in any city. That's state law. You can go two ways. You can bond for those improvements, or you can construct all those improvements and then file a final plat. But you have to record it. Yeah.
After preliminary plat approval.
Or
And did the city request information and we have not received that information?
you have now that I've understood. But still, it was sent last week with all, what they wanted were inspection reports, right? You don't provide, in a preliminary plat, you don't provide compaction testing, inspections of sewer manholes. That's not even within your design standards. It's prior to file a final plat or final approval.
When you already have a structure built, you can request as-built, and that's really what we wanted, is just the as-built. We want to know what's on the ground just so we can connect all of our records with what the city put in the ground or with what the school put in the ground. I mean, here we are, right? The structure's already up. There's already people working on site.
School starts in
The
a
fire
couple weeks.
marshal has said that it is for health and safety, it's fine and people can be there. So the school district's just playing catch up at our request. So you do not have to use staff's motion. You can definitely send a favorable recommendation to city council if you wish.
Well, and the other option is on there, you know, a conditional approval, which we keep saying we don't want those anymore.
Right, and so sending a positive recommendation to city council would get them through the preliminary plat stage, and then we can shake it all out during final plat.
And that would be my recommendation, is that preliminary plat is approved upon meeting the conditions of the inspection for final plat. That would be my recommendation of the motion. We're not trying to get out of anything. But my point is, if you deny the preliminary plat, then I'm coming back and waiting till all that's done. Am I doing a preliminary plat and a final at the same time?
Right,
That's the question.
right.
Yeah, this all sounded really familiar. I remember there was an email that I had received and responded to. And then I think forwarded it to you
You did.
back in beginning of July. So, oh, okay, yeah, I guess the school district doesn't get their building permits from the city, they get them from the county
Correct.
The state.
or the state.
The county is the building
State.
inspector.
The county's the building inspector, but as Marcus said, we get our building permit from the state.
So
That's probably just a process I'm not used to.
that's why we're kind of left out of the loop in certain instances.
Sure, and
certain
asking
things.
for as-built and, you know, courtesy documents is just what you do to try to maintain
Yeah,
complete records. And if we can't get them, then we can't get them.
So are you suggesting, like, even if we give it a favorable recommendation, it doesn't need to be conditional?
It doesn't. They still have to go through the final plat process, which we would like them to be able to do. We're
Right.
not-
We all want this. Yeah, we're all in this for the same reason. We all want
Absolutely.
the school built. We want kids in there in 2 weeks, teachers in there now, probably.
And with complete records.
is it actually gonna open in 2 weeks?
Yeah. Mhm.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have your certificate of occupancy that comes from the county or the state as well?
It comes from the state fire marshal.
Yeah.
So he is given the okay.
You have that? So teachers can get in and set up classrooms. Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, we're excited to have the school. We are. We
There was
have
something
rules to
with-
follow here.
Yes, no, it is different, right? It's
Yeah.
a different situation. And that's why, yeah, school districts, universities and cities, they're all different kind of jurisdictions.
I hadn't
Different
thought
laws.
of, the school district, like a cemetery district, like they
Correct.
just have their own,
Correct.
right?
And so we had been before, we've come before, we presented site plans, we had communication with planning and zoning way before, made changes to the building, made corrections, went through all that process, went through approval of the construction drawings, got that all done. I understood that we had preliminary plat approval at that time, so then I submitted some final plat last fall, but we didn't. We missed the process, and I misunderstood that from communication with the city. And so, yeah, we're like, okay, we missed it. Let's go through the process. So,
Yeah, I'm not even sure why we have preliminary plat stuff if we don't issue a building permit. Isn't that what that's for?
They're asking us to
Or-
approve their preliminary plat. So we are cooperating.
Yeah,
well, and the purpose you're talking about, the purpose of our plat is a little different, right? We're dedicating right away to street roads. It wasn't necessary. And then we have parcels and easements that we want to record. There's 2 parcels. We're combining those parcels at the same
Right.
time. So we felt like this was the best way to do it. We could have done a better or a different way. We could have wrote legal descriptions, but it's a lot better with a plat. And the plat communicates what is actually being done in that area too.
so what would we need to condition this approval on if we were to condition it? On meeting all the requirements for a final plat approval?
I don't really think you have to do that because in order to get final plat approval, they have to meet all the conditions for final plat approval.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't, again, I wrote the staff report before they had provided me any documents. I wrote
Right.
my staff report, put it on the agenda when I was still awaiting
Right,
anything.
got it.
And so there is just a tiny update to the staff report saying we did get some documents, but I didn't update the motion.
Yeah.
So feel free to make the motion of your choice.
Okay, remind me what happens when final plat comes to the city? Who does that go through?
Same process. It'll go to, well, not same process. It'll go to DRC for review, then it'll go to you for final approval, and then zoning administrator has the
Yeah,
final
not
call
city
on final
council,
plat.
but
Mhm.
still we make a
You'll see it
recommendation to the zoning administrator then.
Correct.
As we're doing now. Is that who this is going to next? Is it the zoning
City
administrator?
council.
This one goes to city council.
Correct.
Final plat goes to the zoning administrator.
Correct.
Lance, when do you anticipate having the final plat?
Well, the final plat's drafted, so we do have items. We'll probably submit this final plat so that they can review that to make sure it's all ready. But before we can record, we've got to make sure all of this is checked off. Another thing I saw was I need to check on, do you guys have a chip and seal fee? Cause you said chip and seal it, but you usually have a fee, don't you?
We don't have it in the ordinance, but we could probably figure something.
Yeah, so I think that was the only thing that I saw that we needed to kind of figure out how to take care of, so.
The one comment that you weren't sure how
Yeah,
to.
like on
Correct.
this comment from them said chip and seal these, typically cities just have you pay a chip and seal fee because they chip and seal usually
Later,
a year or two after.
right?
Or something like that. I just didn't know if I didn't have time to check in and ask that, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we approve the preliminary, that we recommend
Send a
approval.
positive recommendation
Mhm.
to city
Yep,
council.
the positive recommendation for approval to the city council. Yeah, that's it, I think,
of
right there.
the Juniper Ridge Middle School preliminary plat.
Right. Thank you.
Before we do that, why is it so last minute? Is that the school district not realizing? Like, I just feel like this is, I mean, we all want the school here, but this is really last minute.
Well, he acknowledged that they missed a step, that he thought this step had been done months ago, if not a year ago. And so now they are making up for lost time. In their minds, this step was done and they were working on final plat items.
Okay,
What'd she say?
No, yeah, she doesn't, I think she doesn't like it, but
I
she-
just said, okay, I don't like it. I don't like that it's very last minute. I think a building to that stature should this should have been caught. So I'm kind of in favor. I want the middle school here. I feel like we're crunching time.
yeah, noted. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Mose and a second by Commissioner Williams. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
All right,
Aye.
Okay,
Any
thank you.
opposed, say nay. Okay, which way did you vote, Heather?
Oh, I'm really torn. I mean, it's unanimous because you guys all said yay, so
Right. so
I'm
you
gonna,
can-
I'm gonna say nay. I'm gonna
Okay.
say nay.
All right, we just need to get it on the record. Thank you. Commissioner Taylor votes nay on that, but but it passes. Okay. Thanks, Lance.
Yep,
Well-
thank you for your time.
We'll see you soon.
thank you.
Yep.
Well, we will see you for the final plat before the next school year's over.
Bye.
I'm just kidding. I'm just giving everyone, the whole staff and everyone a hard time.
Just let it be a private road and just shut it off.
Yeah.
It's out.
Well,
What do you want?
I wouldn't mind that. That's more traffic that would be blocked from my road.
So it's really about the road,
It is.
right? Because everything else falls under the state, correct? So we're really talking about the road, not this whole building.
Oh, I would have said no then. I'm just,
He said, no, I don't want the traffic light.
thank you.
Okay, thanks, Lance. All right, next item on the agenda is a conditional use permit application by Chew/Blue Collar Haulers. Do you want to speak to that first?
I'll speak to that first. I don't know if Mr. Chu is planning on attending. Hopefully you guys were able to go through the staff report. And we know where this parcel is located. Do we need to pull that up on the map for anybody, or everybody is familiar?
Would you pull it up and put it on the,
Yes.
on I mean, I see a map on the, but I wasn't
Marcus is
sure
gonna
where.
pull it up on the parcel map and share it on the screen.
Was squared in red, I thought.
Is it this one here?
No, it's squared in blue.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah,
Is it where his dumpsters are now?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's see where to start. We'll just go right to the staff report. So this application began as a code enforcement case. The city received a couple of complaints about the dumpsters being on a commercial property without a business license or without improvements in place. Code enforcement reached out to the owner. The owner came in and met with code enforcement and planning, and we laid out his options for him. Those options are remove the storage from the commercial property or develop the property for commercial use. He would like to develop the property for commercial use. However, his particular use is not a commercial use, it's an industrial use. And according to our land use code, to have an industrial use in the commercial zone requires a conditional use permit. Those conditions need to be able to mitigate any problems that will arise with this use existing in the neighborhood next to commercial. And so DRC did lay out a few of those. Those were sent to the applicant just to say, you know, these are the proposed conditions that planning commission may put in place for your conditional use permit. In his packet is his summary where he talks about what those uses intend, what his uses intend to be, and how he intends to use the property. I would say his intent is to partially develop. However, the DRC's conditions that they put in place would require him to do the minimum that anybody else would have to do, such as pave their part of Wolfpack Way and make sure that access was correct and all of those things. So he'll still have to go through the full site plan approval process separately from all of this. But the very first step in being able to do that is getting conditional use approval. I did include in my staff report from the general plan the information about the Wolfpack Way corridor and how it's supposed to be developed. I would say that through DRC's comments and staff comments in the staff report, you can see that the industrial use really doesn't match what's in the general plan for Wolfpack Way. And it really doesn't blend in to the uses on either side of the property, nor the planned uses across the street. And so, you have some choices to make. You can, let's back up. Let's go to, I added in the staff report, the code about conditional use permits, and what it gives you the authority to do. So you can issue a conditional use permit and impose conditions. You can approve a conditional use permit without conditions because that's happened a couple of times in Hyde Park City. You just allow them to do the thing. So you can give permission, you can do a conditional use permit with conditions, or you can deny a conditional use permit. Those are all within your purview to do. There are some things that you should consider. And those are in the staff report as well. Let me see if I can go. back.
What is his desire to turn it into a commercial? Like,
So
how is he
his-
gonna do that?
He has an existing business in North Logan called Blue Collar Haulers,
Yes,
where he rents those dumpsters out. And this would just be like site B. He doesn't intend to have an office. No, customers will come on site. This is strictly a storage, when they're
just
not.
dumpsters. Just dumpsters out in the open. They're not in an enclosed building. They're just sitting on the land.
Correct.
I think they should be in an enclosed building for aesthetic view. It's along Wolfpack Way. I just think for the city, I mean, I love Blue Collar Hauler. I've used him, I've rented from him, but I mean, I live on a street right now that is very cluttered. So I want Hyde Park to look organized. So that's my vote, is somehow it can look aesthetically correct.
Well, we do have development standards for the commercial zone. However, this would be an industrial use in the commercial zone. And so what the conditional use permit does is it gives you direction to put those conditions in place. Now, some conditions that you have to show that you're mitigating a problem. So if it's just a vision, an aesthetic problem, I don't know if we can impose those kind of conditions. The state has really been specific about the kinds of things that you can impose for conditional uses. That's what's kind of made conditional uses go out of fashion, because you are limited in what you can't just put any condition you can think of, right? You have to support it with facts and evidence. And that's why I had the DRC come up with a list of things that they thought would be important. Now, certainly Planning Commission can also put condition, more conditional uses on there, but you have to be able to defend your position, right? You have to give a why.
Well, I wonder if it's even a safety issue. I mean, that's a busy road. Wolfpack Way is gonna be busy. Our kids gonna be, I mean, just dumpsters sitting out there. I've seen them on a high hill even. Sometimes I'm like, are those dumpsters gonna fall over? I've seen them on a lump of dirt.
Well, if you read the staff report, one of the conditions that DRC put into place was that the artificial hill there be removed, that he has to knock down those dirt as part of his site plan improvements. And then there's things like full fencing. Let's see.
Greening.
Safeguards proposed to ensure adequate utilities, transportation access, parking, loading spaces. There's provisions there about no waste of any kind shall be stored on site, that it's not a waste transfer anything, that these should be empty, clean dumpsters, that they should be cleaned elsewhere and only stored here. So there's several conditions that the DRC has proposed. I think mostly it's on your shoulders to decide if those will do it, or if this is a use that shouldn't be allowed on Wolfpack Way.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what makes this an industrial?
The criteria of his business. So when we go to the use table, right, that we've talked about so much, we go exactly down that list. He and I sat in my office and we went down the list. What use is your business?
So what was the factor that caused it to be industrial? Because I'll play devil's advocate
Sure.
here. If he's just storing empty bins and renting them and providing transportation for them,
That kind of thing isn't allowed in the commercial zone.
it doesn't seem like it's any different than a tool rental yard like we have across the street on Main Street, or one down on Main Street in downtown Logan.
Correct. It's equipment rental.
Okay.
More or less.
Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Those uses are allowed in the zones that they're in. This would be a new use off the highway.
So the other one is already in an industrial.
It's in North Logan
Oh, okay.
and it meets their zoning code from what I understand. He has a business license and all of those things there,
Wait.
so.
not.
You might be talking about two different businesses, because we do have a business here in
We do
Hyde
have-
Park, a rental company in Hyde
We
Park
have
on
we
the
have
highway
several,
in the commercial zone, not the industrial.
right?
We've got two that I'm aware of.
I'm not saying they received a conditional use permit to do their business.
Are they in commercial zones or are they in industrial?
I
zones?
believe they're in commercial zones. They're on the highway.
But you would argue that that use is also industrial.
I would,
Yeah. part of my-
according to our use table, not according to my opinion.
Well, I know that at least one of them is would be considered industrial because they make cement there.
Right.
So that would be considered industrial.
Mhm.
The other one doesn't, but it does. Yeah, it's just a rental yard. What sort?
It may have been set up before our codes too.
No, this is a new one. The first one, yes, the one that makes cement probably was. It's been here for quite a while. The other one, I don't believe it. It's fairly recent. It just opened since we've been here, so
The equipment rental where you get skid steers and stuff.
yeah, there are two in town. Believe it or not, that's the one thing we have two of in Hyde Park. We have one gas station, but two equipment rental places. Okay,
So that was part of his argument, right? That businesses like this already exist in Hyde Park and he should be allowed to do the same thing. And I think the
Right.
difference is those businesses are existing along the highway and our general plan doesn't call out any kind of special descriptions of how commercial properties along the highway should be used, but it certainly does for Wolfpack Way.
see, because rental equipment agency is in commercial on our land use table.
Mhm. Here's the difference though. He's not proposing to run the entire business off of that site. He won't have an office. He won't have customer parking. He won't have any of that. This is
Correct.
strictly for storage of his overflow.
Right, because a commercial
Okay.
business would have to provide a public restroom or access to,
A parking lot.
right,
Um,
paved. Right, because I think about it tracking dirt on and off the road when you're coming from a dirt parking lot onto a paved.
He would
road.
have to do full site development to run a commercial business.
Yeah, so, yeah.
And that's not what he wants to do. He does not want to put a building of any kind. He does not want to do any improvements other than
Only storage of that stuff.
that is what he wants.
Storage
Yeah.
on dirt.
Did he
proposes
know?
a bit of gravel
Did-
and he'll have to do a site plan approval, right? He'll have to propose how he wants to do his improvements. Those will go through DRC and make sure that they meet code for everything and also that they match the conditional uses supposedly that are or could be put in place for his conditional use permit, and then he'll get site plan approval or not separately. But the very first step is for us to say, we want to allow an industrial use of this kind on a commercial property on Wolfpack Way.
And being on Wolfpack is more of a hinge. Because if he was over on the highway, that is consistent with what happens on the highway. Or Wolfpack Way in the general plan, we envision more truly commercial where people are
Well,
Bringing in
and
business?
that's why I put the part of the general plan that speaks to Wolfpack Way in there because it talks about walkable communities and residential and retail mixes. It doesn't talk about industrial being a use that we would encourage there.
Okay.
I have a question. I'm sure he's aware that we were going to talk about this tonight and he's not there.
He was invited to the meeting. I did, all applicants receive, email confirmation that they're on the agenda and, notified of the date and place and time.
Okay.
Another question.
Sure.
Would sales tax from rental of the equipment that is stored here come to Hyde Park? Or would it go to where the office is, wherever that might be? I don't know where that is.
I don't know that he has an intention. He did apply for a business license. I'll take that back. He did apply for a business license for this business to exist on this property. I don't know how much of what kind of tax would come to Hyde Park from that.
I'm sorry.
Probably not, because it would probably be based off the location of the transaction, which their home base is in North Bloomington. This would primarily just be storage, so they would.
That's what I was wondering.
No revenue generation.
Because there's no office here, there is
Correct.
no sales tax here.
Correct.
Okay.
One of my, go ahead.
You know,
One of my concerns, am I correct looking at the map? It looks like Juniper Ridge Middle School is just north of it. You've got the high school just south of it. So that's that's a major walking corridor for students and children. And I would argue that it's a very attractive nuisance to have dumpsters and all that kind of stuff on property accessible to minors.
So did you guys read through all the conditions that DRC suggested be put in place?
Yeah, like the fencing.
I
and
actually didn't see this before tonight, but I have
I
read through it.
I did. Can I ask a question about the fencing? It says one that you can climb. I would rather it be full privacy. So was it referring to chain link? I guess I want more explanation on the type of fencing.
DRC wanted to include the phrase climb resistant 6-foot privacy fence with screening. So that could be any kind.
But not chain link, because that's what kids can hop over in like 30 seconds, right?
It says climb resistant.
Climb resistant, so.
Climb resistant. So I'm sure there's a professional standard of fence materials that are classified as climb resistant. I am not familiar.
Well, first thing I think of when you say climb resistance is barbed wire, concertina wire over on the top of the fence, which prevents people, and that's not really,
I don't think we.
that doesn't sound like a commercial venture there either. Okay,
I went through this and I felt like it was I agree, it's a complete industrial use. I'm not sure that he acknowledges that readily. He doesn't appear to, but he talks about waste management. I get the argument that it's storage only. So as I took notes, I was jotting down like landscape, screening, parking hours, because it's next to residential. This was the area that at first we had as maybe planned professional. Maybe it didn't include this, but it was meant that, yeah, the hours would close earlier for the residential nearby. Anyway, my conditions were just that it would look like, act like, sound like, smell like commercial, and it doesn't for me. It doesn't do any of those things. And for a commercial business, I disagree with his arguments on like the intent. I don't think that is our intent. Is it necessary or desirable? I said no to both of those. I didn't feel like there were reports or studies. I didn't feel like there were safeguards. I didn't feel like there's a buffer. And the general impact, I feel like, would be negative. And so then when I read the staff report, I just felt like it mirrored what I had jotted down as I went through everything, that it's a no for me.
just looking at our current land use table, not at the one we're going to approve, but the one or recommend approval for, or review for recommendation. Sorry. I'm just looking at the industrial use. And what this sounds like is storage facilities, inside or outside. And it is purely industrial. There's nothing in the commercial portion, so I can't say that we're graying a line here between commercial and industrial. If he had an office and was working out of that office and billing out of that office, then we might have a little more leeway here, but this is purely industrial, and using your logic also, it doesn't. So I'm going to make a motion that we deny the CUP application for Chew. I guess that's what it is.
I'll second that motion. Okay, any further discussion? Commissioner Taylor? Anything from you?
I just want it noted, I know Cody Chu personally, and I love his business. I know he's very generous, but I agree with all of you. I would be a no as well. I don't think it falls under commercial. I wish he was there tonight to defend or discuss or could hear our suggestions, but I would be a no.
Okay, any other discussion here on site?
I agree. It's everything, all the uses that he's put forth are completely industrial. I don't see any commercial aspect to it whatsoever.
Yeah, and I just don't think we have a need. There's no benefit to the city to,
Remember, this is for a conditional use for allowing in the industrial
Switch it to
things
industrial.
into commercial. And we don't have to say yes.
And I don't see any of the criteria that would motivate.
Right.
That I don't see any criteria that is a benefit to switching it and giving that conditional use.
Exactly.
right.
I only see negative for the community.
All right, we have a motion to deny because we're the deciding body on this one, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so we are the deciding body. So this is not a recommendation, that we are the decision. We have a motion to deny this conditional use permit. And a second, all in favor, say aye.
I
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, that's unanimous to deny the conditional use permit to Chew or Blue Collar Haulers.
Thank you.
All right, next up are our legislative items. We have 3 public hearings. And I would go through, is anyone on Zoom that might speak up? Like, I'm not seeing anyone in the
We
room.
don't do
that-
Zoom to the public. They just have to
Okay.
come on down or write us a letter.
Okay, so we have notes about taking not very long, up to 3 minutes. I have a timer here, only speaking facts, and this isn't a dialogue back and forth. You can state some things, you can even ask questions, but they will not be answered right away. Commissioners, remember to not respond right away, jot down notes, and we can discuss and answer that later. So I will open or do you want a staff report first before I open the public hearing?
Staff report and then open the public.
Great. Let's pause and do a staff report. And we're talking about the land use table. This is 12.26, or no, I'm getting water identification mixed up.
This is ordinance 2026.05, and the code is 12.290.
12.290, that sounds better.
So this is to amend the land use table. The current land use table uses outdated language, zoning classifications, and definitions. So these changes will not only classify each use to its correct zone, but they would also improve the formatting and structure of the table itself. In addition, many definitions have unnecessary descriptions that will be removed. And then there are a number of inclusions, including data centers, power plants, and prison facilities, to ensure those uses can be determined at a later time. Thank you.
Did you take out circuses?
Killjoy.
All right.
Right.
What's that, Brian?
Just like clowns.
All
No clowns on
right, I'll open the public hearing for this ordinance 2026-05, the land use table, which is 12.290. The public hearing is officially open.
I feel like we need Jeopardy music.
All right, yeah. There's no one coming to speak on that, so we will close that public hearing. Okay, a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the changes that we've already previously discussed in the land use table that is shown in the final land use table final document, Exhibit B.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. A motion by Commissioner Mose, a second by Commissioner Williams to recommend approval of the most current edition of this land use table, 12.290. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. There are a few formatting things. Will
That are-
those be taken care of in the posting on the
Are you?
city website?
The
Not necessarily, but that's
Yeah,
important to a lot of
so-
us.
You guys see,
Like,
Are you tired of us whining?
right at,
you can see that as he scrolls down that top.
Perfect.
Thing still.
And also the boxes around it. So it's just a software issue between Microsoft Word and Civic Link. So everything will be edited as the table in Civic Link. So everything will appear as shown in Civic Link. It'll just be edited within each cell.
like, there's, on our exhibit, it may not be on the actual, at the end of commercial uses, the stable and the telecommunications, there are no colors showing
Oh, right, yes.
that needs to be fixed.
That will be fixed, yes.
And then
There's still an old
if
date
you
on
go a
it.
little bit further up into the commercial
Broken.
part, if you look at the express shuttle service and the farm service equipment, there's no space between the two. So they think it's one. And it's actually two separate.
Okay,
good catch.
Sorry,
noted.
the Army staff job did that to me.
Yes, we want our code to be clean and tidy and useful. And so even any little formatting thing, we need to address it and clean it up.
So those are the only two things that I noticed that.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Mose. Any other discussion? We have a motion on the table for the second. Any other discussion?
Just want to say thank you for the amount of discussion that's gone into this, because I personally appreciate when we've discussed something previous to it coming to where we have to actually make motions and approve or recommend or deny or whatever. It's a little bit it's harder when it comes that day.
Absolutely.
It's so much, this is so much easier. We've done all of our discussions and where we weren't under a time frame. So
Right.
thank you for the extended discussions we've had on this.
And thank you for all the work.
Yeah.
I've worked on this one before. It's so hard to work on such a giant sheet, top, bottom, left, right. It's just when you can't look at it all on the screen at the same time, or even scroll one direction, you're scrolling two directions. So it's, for those that can't see it, it's a lot harder than it looks. All right, we're ready for a vote. All those in favor of recommending approval of this land use table, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Ned's not here. And I did remember that Ned told me he would not be here today. I'm only an hour late with that. Okay, that passed unanimously with the four of us. Heather, you're doing great. All right, we're up to
Well,
the.
thank you.
We're up to the water dedication.
You want to drive?
Yeah, my turn.
Yeah, you want to hop in?
You can do from right here.
It's so quiet.
All right, Commission, this one came before you at the previous meeting. A short summary of what happened, just to refresh everyone's memory. The city put a stop to water dedication options such as providing a fee in lieu of back in December of 2025. We recently got an updated water master plan and 40-year water right plan back from Sunrise Engineering, which says that our water rights are in better shape than we thought. And so with some discussion from the city attorney, we decided to open back up other water dedication options for development projects. We're bringing back the fee in lieu of option. We are also bringing a new lease option and providing a first right of refusal for the city if there are excess water rights that maybe the developer thought they needed, but no longer need after the development moves through the process. The other thing to note, a big change is we're updating the value of secondary water shares. Previously in the code, we allowed them to be turned in at a 1-to-1 exchange rate where you could hand in 1 acre foot of secondary water that maybe comes from a canal or some other source. And the city would take that for 1 acre feet of groundwater, drinking water rights. After some research and discussion with the city attorney, that number is being updated to 2-to-1. And that is due to the fact that in the applications that we've reviewed in exchanging surface secondary water to drinking water, groundwater rights, we have not yet seen a case where it was allowed to be exchanged at a 1-to-1. It most often is exchanged at a 2-to-1 rate. So in order for the city to not be damaged by that, we are changing that in our code to match the rate that we have observed.
Is it also new that it applies to commercial and industrial, not just residential?
We had the ordinance always applied to everybody. It was just a little unclear. This version also has some drafting in those sections to just update some language and make it really obvious that everybody has to provide water rights.
Okay, thank you.
I was brand new when this came across our table. And didn't we used to have a flat water fee if they did not have the water right? They paid a flat fee. Is that correct?
Yes, that option was previously available. This is proposing that we'll bring it back. There's a big caveat, which is we will have to do some kind of market study I'm assuming every 3 to 6 months to check pricing, and we will charge the fee in lieu of based on those market studies.
Do we know what that is right now? Because I think it was too low when I did a lot of research back in December.
Our fee in lieu of
Or-
used to be $5,000 per acre foot. If we had to put a number on it today, without a full market study, but based on the numbers that we've seen, we would be at $10,000 or more.
Okay. I just want to make sure it's, because I know developers have water rights and I know they didn't like this happening, but I just want to make sure the city is compensated. You know, I don't want it to be a flat fee across everyone. So I like that we're checking the water rights and the prices.
Yes. There's one more feature, we'll call it. We're offering a discount to the developers if they are willing to cough up water rights and go to the state engineer and get them switched over and put in our name and do it the right way. We're willing to offer them a 50% discount to their water dedication. That number is not necessarily set in stone. If the commission and the city council feel like that's much too generous, city staff is perfectly fine with changing that number, but we would not recommend that we go lower than 50% discount or no.
The problem with that is like, I don't know, like who's to say what that number should be? I agree it shouldn't be lower, but why not 75 or 80 or 90? Like, I don't know. I'm not.
So the number we had in the previous code before we did the hard stop, we did offer a 25% discount. And we had one developer take advantage of that. But there was only one.
And the rest did the money instead. And we don't want the money instead. We want the actual.
Well, that's the way it was. Now we're saying.
We'll take either one at
use-
this point, but we would rather have the paper water rights. We would rather have somebody go through the heartburn of taking it to the state and getting it exchanged and put in our name and attached to our sources. And that can be difficult. And so we're offering a discount to the total water requirement and maybe letting the city's water rights that we own and have stockpiled offset that if they're willing to actually bring us water rights. Because the hardest thing that we've started collecting the fee in lieu of pretty heavily after I started working at the city, and we accumulated a nice chunk of cash, but then it hangs out while the mayor and I comb the internet and try to find places where we can buy water rights. Thankfully, we've had a few that we've been able to spend that money. But our big fear is all the developers will continue to pay the fee in lieu of, we'll have this balance sheet that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which I'll save the municipal accounting lesson, but that looks really bad when audit times come for the city to have a huge pot of money that has no definite time of when it's going to be spent.
It's also worth less and less over time as
Yeah.
prices go up.
Correct.
They paid the market value of a year ago. And
Right.
now,
And so since the city is much better off than we thought in our water rights, our attorney felt like we could not keep the gates firmly shut anymore. We had to provide more options, but we would definitely prefer the developers do the process of bringing actual water rights and putting them under the city's name.
so, yeah, go ahead.
It sounds like this is fixing two issues that we previously had. Number one, we were underpriced because if I had stock worth 10 to 15,000 that was only going to go up over time, I would definitely pay you 5,000 to keep my stock that's going to go up over time and that's worth more than you're asking me to pay you anyway. And then secondarily, maybe 25% was not enough of a discount to make it worth the headache that obviously you guys have experienced. And so you guys are probably best suited to determine what that's worth. Like how much headache is that? If a 50% discount, in your opinion, based on your experience of how much headache it is and running around to get the water rights, if that incentivizes them to do, it sounds like those two things are good remedies to incentivize them to do it the right way. To
And-
either bring us the water rights, there's an incentive, or pay it so that we can actually go out on the market and buy it.
Right. And the 50% discount, really, it's kind of a trial thing. Like I said, we've had one developer in the past take advantage of the previous discount.
Could that have been though because of the $5,000 was so low?
There were several reasons. I
Oh.
won't bore you with the details here, but maybe it turns out that everybody's going to do that. And then we also have more water rights that were being gobbled up and then we have to put a stop to it. But for now, we would rather take that risk and get our hands on real paper water rights instead of accumulating a huge amount of cash that we have no like plan in place other than we'll buy water rights when they're available. It just doesn't look good when it's audit time.
So it sounds like there's a difference. They can give culinary water rights that are still in their name and it's 1-to-1. But if they go through
Correct.
the hassle of changing it to our name, then it's 0.5-to-1.
No, it's 8.85 to 1.
That's what it was previously. What we're proposing now is 50%. So it would be, so their water shares would essentially double in value if they were to take them to the state engineer and go through the process.
Did you say
Get them
50 or 15? 50?
50.
Because previously it was 25, correct?
Right. The previous discount was 25%.
This on the green.
I
And maybe
like what this is doing.
too steep. But
I don't have any experience to base on whether it's too steep or not. So personally, I'm relying on,
Well, but again, like he's saying, that's what can be adjusted for now where everything's such a tight market. That's a pretty big carrot in front of a developer.
mhm.
so if they were requiring two, if they actually transfer it over, they would only need to transfer over one.
Right. And the big caveat to that specific thing is they need to take it to the state. It's not, they don't just hand it to us and say, congrats, you get to go do the paperwork. No, we're saying the developer needs to go to the state, go through the hearing process, get them changed over and put in our name, and then bring that back and hand that to us and say, here you go, they're clean and free and ready for you to use. So we're not just saying, yeah, you could walk all over us. No, there's a process that they'll have to follow. There's paperwork they'll have to turn in to prove that they've done it the right way. And at that point, we would let them have their discount.
Okay, I've lost it. Direct us to the paragraph that has that 50% number in it.
Oh, it's like at the very end.
That's what I thought too. Is it the 20 instead of the 10?
Yes, it's in 20.
Okay. Sorry, I
All the
sent
way.
you to the wrong place. Wild goose chase.
Waiting.
There you go.
You're welcome. Oh, yeah. Yellow.
Yeah, you say it's at the city's discretion. Yes and no. I mean, if they meet the criteria that we've outlined, then yeah, we'll give it to them. But, you know, if they go to the state engineer and get it all turned in, the state engineer says, actually, these are worthless and they're not actual valid water rights, or they've expired, they've lapsed, so they're not worth anything. Then they come back and say, I have nothing. You say, okay, no discount, you know?
Yeah, I think I'd rather say 60 or 70, but I don't know the market. And yeah, as tight as it is right now, I imagine we need to have it.
I thought you were going to give them a 15% discount, not a 50% discount. Yeah, time for the hearing aids, but that's another subject. Yeah.
That's what I mean. We don't know the market. Yeah. I
How
mean, how confident are you in this 50%?
How often
number?
could you alter that 50%?
Comes through
As
here.
often as you
Back
want.
here
It'd
through
be a
here.
Just like we're doing this.
It's not going to be approved by us. We're just recommending approval.
Just-
Right. I
And
mean,
we
if we get this approved and the next 3 developments who apply all do this and we lose out on, I don't know how many acre feet of water, we're probably going to revisit this real quick and be like,
Right.
actually, this is not working out for
Right.
us.
So it's certainly, we can put a recommendation in our,
I mean, you can have that
Yeah.
stricken from the ordinance entirely. This was something that we
Well,
tried previously.
we wouldn't do that. We would just recommend maybe removing it or changing it or reviewing it.
Mhm.
Make sure our city council knows that we're concerned with that.
Okay.
And I'm sure they are too. So but the other thing that I wanted to propose or recommend or suggest is that when you do come up with what the cost is per acre foot in lieu of a fee in lieu of actual water rights, there probably needs to be an administrative fee attached to that to find water rights and then to also transfer them to the city.
Mhm.
If we're going to give someone a discount for bringing water rights and transferring them, then we need to charge people that same amount or something similar if we're going to have to go find them and transfer them to our name.
Agreed.
So,
Yes, and changing that fee would be just a changing of the fee schedule.
right.
That wouldn't require.
Right. That's outside
change.
of the purview of this.
Yeah, that would just be every 6
Ordinance.
months. We would schedule a public hearing to update the fee schedule, which we do about every 6 months anyway, it seems like. But that's usually done with the city council. That doesn't
Right.
usually come to the planning commission.
So just a suggestion while I've got a city council member reading my minutes.
Within earshot. I like the number 60%.
60% discount?
No, I guess 40%
I
discount.
was like,
Yeah.
I would agree
Yeah,
with that. I
honestly,
like
50 is like-
40% as well. I mean, I do
40%.
like getting the water shares though. I mean, we could try it for, let's see how many applications we get and then we could change it, but I don't have enough info as well. But 50 does sound very enticing.
We also haven't had
I-
the public hearing yet, so.
Yeah, I don't know what the actual process is and how difficult it is to switch water rights over from one entity to another. So,
It depends. It's not necessarily expensive or difficult, but it can be long, and it also depends on the quality of your shares. The last one that we dealt with an individual we purchased water rights from, he had really good water rights, and so there was relatively minimal hassle. It just took 6 months just to get through the process outlined at the state level.
it's the state that's the bottleneck.
Yeah.
Surprise. Okay, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. I did forget to have the public hearing. So let's pause the discussion. Yeah, that was all part of staff report. Not give and take, just the staff report. All right, we're going to pause and have the public hearing and then we can discuss some more if you want. Going to open the public hearing for the water dedication ordinance. This is 12.250, 12.150, 10.010, and 020.
Brian Cox for the minutes. Water is complicated. That's the biggest thing. Yes, they can convert water shares into water rights. State ultimately approves it, but it has to be approved by the canal board too. And if they don't approve it, it doesn't happen. So there's that problem. I appreciate Commissioner Mo's bringing up that there is additional costs in searching and finding others. And we only have a certain amount of capacity that we could actually pump from our pumps up there. So you'd have to plan long-term that we got great aquifers, but we'd have to have another well, another main line, all of those things have to be built into that. I don't like the complete buyout. I agree with perhaps some. The valuation of their shares. Whatever the amount that they have to exchange to get 1 acre foot, whether it's two acre feet from a canal, converts to 1 acre feet of water right. It doesn't matter. In order to get 1 acre foot, you have to give in as much acre footage from shares to equate. It may be different conversion for the Upper Canal versus Hyde Park Canal. Don't know. The other part is not knowing the valuation. I would say the valuation, the going market, you pay going market rate, but no less than 10,000 per acre foot. So if it goes up, you can pay market rate. But knowing that things are going out there that we can acquire now, I've been working on some water acquisition now. It's not cheap, and you need to have a lot of capital to be able to buy it. So it's more than just their development. It's for the city long-term. What can you do to replace what you bought? So it's difficult thinking that way, but I encourage you to think that. And yes, they need to have options. They need to be able to have discounts, and maybe part of that option is water conservation in their plan. So my thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you.
My. Dave Fells, and I wasn't reading the minutes. What I don't know, and I need to learn and find out, is how any of this impacts a move towards higher density housing, which I know is being discussed. Just more, higher density housing. I just don't know the relationship with the amount of water, the cost of water, how that is impacted by, going away from half-acre lots to more medium and high density. So more work that I need to do, and and maybe it doesn't have any impact at all, but just something that I want to be thinking about. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. We have lots of people speaking. We have 3.
Oh, time's up, sorry.
Steinberger.
Hey,
I just texted the canal company treasurer to see what it was worth. I didn't dare call him because I didn't want to interrupt, but I know Lyle real well. They own the middle canal and the upper canal. A year ago, I asked him what it would cost me to buy another share. He told me $3,500 if it was available. You might also want to know that in May, the state passed a House bill. So I own a share. If I die and that share is not in my family trust, I lose it. The family loses it. They
It's
just passed that
not
bill
tied to the
today.
property.
So there's something for you to consider too. Plus, if you're figuring out prices for the cost of shares and what you pay, when I first bought my share from the Smithfield Highline Corporation, I think I paid $19 a year fee for my acre foot.
I pay 153 now. Because they piped it. And eventually they're gonna pipe the upper one, but not until the center one's paid for. So it'll also be pressurized. But last I talked to Lyle, there's no shares available. Now, it depends on which canal company you're talking about. My dad owned 4 shares in Providence, the Blacksmith Fork Providence Canal, which runs right through his backyard. He had 4 shares. When I went and talked to the guy from Utah State that was over the water master, he says, well, your dad didn't really need 4 shares. He could probably get by with 2. If you want to sell a couple, there's a whole list of people waiting. And I says, what's it worth? And he says, whatever you can get out of it. He just had a lady in Millville sell 12 shares for $14,000 a piece. So it's what the market is. But I don't know what, I text Lyle, but he hasn't texted me back to see what a current share is in Cash Highline. So just some information.
All right.
I'm very curious on that.
Thank you.
Lyle doesn't want to go on the record tonight.
Well, I can go call him. Yeah, because I know him as well.
I'm very curious on that. Water shares, if they're not in a trust, so they cannot be inherited through a will then? Does anyone know that? Bill?
I don't know the specifics on.
I
the
would
law.
love to read that. I'm very curious. I'll ask. you.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak on this?
I wanted to say that I'm grateful for for those in the city that had the foresight to start getting shares and put us in at least as of right now, a really good position that we can do this. So,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people may not have thought about that, but I do know that water is what people fight wars over, not just oil. People get killed over water. And I know some people that feel like they would like to, maybe a neighbor who overuses their spraying. Yeah, so it's very important, and I'm grateful for the city for doing the work that we didn't think about. It took care of us.
I like the mayor's comment of market rate not to be less than, but never to be less than 10,000. I like
Okay,
that.
that's probably part of our discussion. Anything else
Oh,
on the
sorry.
public hearing? Okay, I'm closing the public hearing.
Thank you. Sorry.
You're okay. You can be part of the public, I guess. Yeah, I too, the mayor reminded me of something that I've wondered about too, like shares and rights are not the same thing, but it seems like our ordinance is treating them the same.
No, they previously were, if you go back to section 1210, we do differentiate between those two things. And specifically about the dedication amount, right? We covered this, I flew through this at the beginning. But typically with secondary water, you can't get those exchanged at a 1-to-1 rate because usually it's a share of a parent right. Like somebody like the canal company owns the rights of diversion out of one of the rivers or native water sources, and then they will sell shares. So they basically sell off pieces of that right for people to use. What the city needs is we need the actual parent right. And so we take that back to the state and say, well, we know this isn't going to be used for secondary water anymore. We want to get it converted. Now, in theory, that's going to pass through, recharge the aquifer, and we want to be able to pull that from our wells. And that's in a very, very, very condensed version what the state kind of looks at when you present these shares. And so the change that we put in here is if somebody can get their hands on one of those parent rights, we'll call them, you know, like a right to draw water directly from a river or from an aquifer, those can usually be exchanged at a 1-to-1 rate. Those are very hard to find. But yeah, if somebody turns in a bunch of canal shares, then there's a bunch of math that they go through to figure out how much is actually going to be recharged into the aquifer, if this isn't being dumped out on somebody's farm ground. And based on that, they'll go back and say, okay, well, you turned in 10 shares. They may give you 5 or 6 rights in exchange for that. But it's not an exact science and it's different every time.
I didn't know a share could be turned into a right.
Yes, but it's every piece of research that we've seen.
That's
every
the
application
2 to
we've
1 you're
seen,
talking about.
It's never, we have not seen a case where a canal share can be converted at a 1-to-1 rate into like a well right.
But even on this 50% reduction that we're talking about at the end, it still says rights/shares.
The big caveat that we've changed in this code is for somebody to dedicate the water, they got to take it to the state.
Okay.
So that person has to go to the state, go through the process of getting those converted into our municipal name and rate. And the state engineer says it's worth this much. If they can come back and say, hey, we needed 40, we got you, 20, we'll say that's good enough if we adopt the 50% discount.
Share in the upper canal was not equal to a share in my park.
Right.
the
But
other-
like, yeah, I like that it's, yeah, I mean, we prefer that they do that part, which is why we're dangling that carrot. Like
Yep.
you do it, you go to the hassle and you figure out it's not even 2 to 1, you might be 6 to 1 or something.
Correct.
Yeah, I like your minimum. I get how you price things. I had an accounting class long ago that talked about first in, first out versus first in, last out, how you price things. And that's a big difference. And then, yeah, that density, whether it's a townhome or a single family home, that's where I feel like the city could play around with those required state numbers where the state only gives us one number to play with, but we know that's very different if that's a home on an acre versus 16 townhomes on an acre.
Right. There's a big push right now at the municipal level and on the developer side to have the state redo these numbers because both sides, the private and the public sector, acknowledge that the state's one size fits all approach to this is not working for anybody. But nobody's really sure how that's going to shake out yet.
Especially when they're pushing for smaller lots, smaller homes too, to have
Right.
that same number.
And as far as how this will affect multifamily, yeah, it's not included in here because we're not messing with the table, but there's a table in the ordinance that says how you can calculate that. And really what you're looking at is you may need more water rights. There's a tipping point, right? If we're building an 80-foot tall skyscraper, yeah, you're going to need way more water rights than you would if it was single family homes. But if you're talking a half-acre lot where you got to do your half an acre foot for your indoor, 2 acre feet for your outdoor, that's the same that you could get a 5-plex with minimal outdoor landscaping. That same water right could supply 5 units
5 families.
of indoor use. And so, yeah, there is a benefit to doing the multifamily and having the water rights stretch a little further rather than using our drinking water for watering landscaping. But yeah, if we're doing super high density, it's going to be more expensive.
You just used the 80-story skyscraper as an example. We're not building those.
Right.
I'm not approving. I'm not recommending approval on that one. I vote no. Or 60 or whatever.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes,
That started.
You don't actually want
People will see the.
Sure.
So are there any specific text changes the planning commission would like to recommend to the city council?
There was one A that should be an that I highlighted in there. An owner instead of a owner. That was the only thing I caught that way.
Did you leave it in box?
Yeah, it's on a comment on this.
We'll find it.
You're an owner.
Melinda Lee. Yeah.
There was talk about recommending the percentage change down to 60-40 rather than 50-50. Is that something you want to formalize as part of your motion? Or are you not?
Well, it
prepared to
is,
recommend
yeah, it is just a recommendation. So
Yeah.
the city council can always just choose something.
Maybe we bump it to
50, they could
60
make it
and they bump it to
25.
70.
Yeah.
So hard to know.
We have to remember ours is just a recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, that's just an idea to try to incentivize people to bring the water rights. It's not something that we are gonna die on the hill over. We just thought it
I
might
really
be a
like
good way
that
to
they have to go
incentivize the
through all that
developers.
hassle.
I do have a
My
question.
recommendation, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just gonna say, I agree with Melinda. I would prefer 40% discount. I feel better with that. That's just my recommendation.
Okay.
I do too.
Okay. The mayor mentioned conservation, and I believe that new construction already has state requirements as far as flow rates for faucets and toilets and things like that. So but is there a way we can use the funds that we gather from people who provide to incentivize those in older houses or buildings to switch over? I know the state has had programs like that, but is there a way that we as a city can do that? And maybe not right away, but maybe, hey, we switched over and over a year, you can see that our usage has gone down 25%.
Mhm.
Is that something that we could look at doing?
Yeah, I think that's important to research. One of the things that I'm thinking about, I might as well just throw this out there. I don't know if it's going to be legit or not. One of the concerns with doing the fee in lieu of is we'd have this giant pot of money that in theory would just accumulate if we never find any more water rights. And so one of the questions that I'm contemplating with the city attorney is, are there other things we could use the money for, like to potentially stretch the water right? You know, if we were to partner with the canal company to improve access to secondary water across the city, could we pull from this pot of money? Because then we're stretching our drinking water right by eliminating outdoor watering. We're not sure on the legality of that yet, and somebody's probably going to have to take that one to court before we know for sure. But yes, things like that are ideas that we are probably going to have to start exploring sooner rather than later if we end up getting a ton of fee in lieu of again and have no water rights to spend it on.
Yeah, I just bring that up because I know I've been to, maybe you go to a hotel and you get in the shower, and some hotels, they've got the really restricted flow shower heads, and others you're just getting dumped on and you're going, this is wonderful. But if this was my house, the water would be turned off already because I can't afford using this much water. And we can't use it as a city either. So I don't know if that's an option, maybe a portion of it to use as incentive, but I know the state sometimes does, you send me a receipt of a low flow faucet and we'll reimburse you up to this much money for that. That's an automatic. That might be an option, or you just say, hey, show us that after a year, you can reduce your water usage by so much of a percentage and see what happens. I don't know, but I know you'd have to probably limit. There's no unlimited funds out there. You only have a pot of so much money that you could do that for.
Right. There's a lot of really interesting water conservation programs that are happening across the state. The city, I don't know if the Planning Commission heard, the city council recently approved a formal partnership with the folks from Slow the Flow, which is a state recognized organization that focuses on water conservation.
Right.
We're working on a couple of things with them to try and have more education for our residents, to educate people about these programs you mentioned, where, yeah, if you install certain types of plumbing fixtures, or do a little study of your water on your lawn, you can turn that into this organization and get, some kind of rebate for those products. But yeah, there's rain barrel programs out there, and
Right.
the list goes on and on. And I would like to have the opportunity to use these funds for all sorts of stuff like that. But first, we'll wait and see how much money we end up accumulating from this.
So I'd like to make a motion Are you ready for that?
I am.
I'd like to make a motion that we recommend approval of 12.090.010 and 020
12.150.
is 150.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever
You
the
got the rest
the
right.
code is, that we recommend the changes that have been presented to us with the recommendation that we change the percentage from 50 to 40,
Discount or
the discount of 50% to 40% discount.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mose, a second by Commissioner Williams to recommend approval of this water dedication ordinance 12.150, 10 and 20. With the only change being to change the reduction from 50% to 40% in that specific situation at the end of 20. Okay, any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
I,
Any opposed, say nay. All right, that motion passed unanimously with the four of us. Okay, we have another public hearing. I'm going to get this right. We're going to do a staff report first, and then I will open the public hearing before we get going too deep into any discussion. This is the public hearing for the, or sorry, we're not doing the public hearing yet. Staff report for the rezone criteria.
Yeah. So in addition to adding our standardized legal language for clarity and conciseness, these changes to the zoning map amendment criteria would allow for a more thorough consideration of rezones. Factors including traffic, natural environment, use table consistency, and city benefit would be examined by the land use authority. There is concern over the language of number 3, the extent to which the proposed amendment may adversely affect adjacent property. And part of the new changes that will be removed. The staff believes that that is covered by other sections. For example, criteria number 1 talks about compatibility with density use and overall character of existing developments in the vicinity. Or number 5 talks about the natural environment, which could also adversely or be a benefit to the adjacent property. So because the language is so vague of what is now number 6, that has been removed. Other than that, all other changes are consistent with what were discussed last time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. We're going to open the public hearing for this ordinance 2026-15, the rezone criteria. You have up to 3 minutes again. Public hearing is opened. No one's coming forward. Okay, we're closing that public hearing with no comment. All right, now we can have discussion.
I make a motion that we recommend approval of the changes to 12.10.050 as they are presented to us.
Okay, we have a motion to recommend approval.
I will second that.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Mose, a second by Commissioner Taylor to recommend approval of the rezone criteria 12.10.50, 050. Any further discussion?
I need to be convinced that the 2 areas that you mentioned do adequately cover immediately adjacent property concerns or effect on immediate adjacent properties. Is there a way, could you go over the language of those 2 and how it would encompass that and why removing it doesn't change anything as
Yeah.
to an adjacent property?
So the language as it is, as we discussed, really vague. Like, it's really hard to categorize adverse effects. And so what those other ones do is include specificity. So number one includes density, use, and overall character. And number four includes the traffic congestion, road safety, pedestrian access. So it's just more specific in other sections. It may not include everything, but because of the vague language, it's impossible to include all adverse or just effects in general around the property.
5 adds to it as well.
Right,
Topography,
so mine's not
geology,
pulling up.
hydrology.
Right.
Yeah, I think we've covered all the aspects we want to cover, without having to determine if something is adversely going to affect somebody.
There we go. Sorry, mine wasn't pulling up.
And the other thing, I know I brought it up last time, was that some of the effects aren't adverse.
Right.
Right.
And that specifically says adverse effects. And I said, well, can we put beneficial effects too? Because they're both. But yeah, it's really difficult to figure out.
I think
I-
striking 6 makes the rest of it even more neutral, right? You can weigh the pros or cons.
Can we strike just adverse and say the extent to which it affects adjacent properties?
So we had a discussion very similar to this as a staff, and the reason it is the way that it is now is really because when we prepare our staff report, we have to be objective, right? If we're saying what are the effects, that's an opportunity for subjectivity, and that's something that we should not be dabbling in. That's something that sure the elected officials, you guys have some leeway with the general plan and with other things. We judge things based on what's in the ordinance, right? So in shifting from what are the effects to we're worried about traffic. Like we took all the discussion from last time. We said, what are the planning commissioners worried about? We said, you're worried about traffic. You're worried about all these other things we've listed in there now. We said, let's put that in there. So now we have a list we're judging off of instead of just saying what could go wrong or what could be good. And
Yeah.
so that's really the heart of why it got changed.
Does it limit what could be brought up and what would be relevant in public hearing from the public? Or does it encompass the same things that could be brought up?
No, because really you go back to, I mean, this is the list, right? But also we look at the general plan. And so that opens up a broad category of things that the planning commission could go back to, looking at number one, leaves some openness there about character to existing development and those types of things. So there's still an opportunity to get into maybe what we would call the weeds a little bit.
Yeah.
But we as staff need a nice clear list so we can provide you with nice clear staff reports saying, does this meet the criteria you've set forth? Yes or no? And then that leaves you room to get into beyond what we've said, the other things that you're concerned about.
When I sit down with applicants, when they come in and they want to talk about doing a rezone, I need to be able to show them a list of this is how we determine if this is a good idea or not. And I think these really specific things will help them make that decision if the rezone that they're thinking about is a good idea or not, based on their own knowledge of the area. I think it's super helpful just for people who may be thinking about rezoning to be able to go through this list and kind of prejudge it themselves with these specific criteria.
So would you say the intent of 1, where it says whether the proposed amendment is compatible with the density, use, and overall character of existing developments, would you say compatible with existing developments would be the effects of it on the surrounding properties would be encompassed within that?
Yes,
Okay.
because you're judging just the stuff in the vicinity, right, of the subject property. And
Compatibility is kind of like effects, just another word.
it is, but I think compatibility gives us the opportunity to weigh in favor of the property owner instead of looking for something negative.
I just want to bring as an example what we did earlier today when we looked at the conditional use permit. This was a framework, unintentionally possibly, that we used to judge whether or not we would approve or disapprove that conditional use permit.
That was like a zone change.
Was it traffic congestion, road safety, pedestrian safety? Whether it met the intent of what that neighborhood is going to be used for. I mean, all of the things, there weren't many things, I don't think any that we didn't think about as we discussed that conditional use permit. So it's pretty all-inclusive. It's not too limiting and it's not too vague.
It's not as broad as.
So I think that this worked very well. And we may not have used this specifically for that, but when you look down at what we discussed all of these things.
Notice it says pedestrian access, use of pedestrian safety. Is there one for safety that I'm just missing?
So road safety is included in there, and that's broadly like accessibility for public safety, all those types of things would be included in your road safety category.
I like the change. I've been on both sides and I know we do have to be able to defend whatever we're doing and yeah, write those staff reports. So I'm all in favor of this. I think when we say, well, but what about like, we're thinking of someone who's on our side, but it can just as well go to someone who's not on our side. And you're like, well, that's not what I meant it for, but it's going to go for both. And so for me, it's safer to not have it in there. I think of like this project that we talked about earlier, the conditional use permit. Let's say that wasn't there at all. The townhomes are all in, and then that guy wants to come in and do that. We have a room full of people saying, don't you dare allow this, please. No, no, no. Well, we didn't actually need all of that public clamor. We can look at this reasonably and logically and go, yeah, this doesn't fit because of these reasons. Ned will disagree, and that's fine.
But he's not here. He lost that opportunity. He forfeited that opportunity.
Just for the record, I tend to err on the side of wanting more public input, as I feel like that's a duty, even if it's annoying sometimes. I like to err on the side of making sure that whatever the language is, that it welcomes input from the public and that they have some weight to what they say, property owners.
And
Versus us saying, whoops, sorry, that's not relevant. I want to make sure that we have the most expansive versus the most restrictive.
Yeah, we're also a republic, right? We elect people to study out the issues when when the general public may not know as much as whoever is elected or appointed. I mean, isn't that what a republic is, right? So I get that. We just can't satisfy everyone. Go ahead, Heather.
Sorry, I thought you were done. I apologize. I agree with Melinda. I think I'm all for it. I mean, the wording, we could spend hours, So just so you know my opinion, I think it's good.
Thank you.
One last question from me and then I will be quiet. What did the lawyer say about removing that? I'm assuming that we talked to him about it.
Yeah, I don't think there was any specific comments about this ordinance. Just kind of was like, if that's what you want to do, it sounds great to me.
Okay.
All right, my notes say we already have a motion and a second on this. So I think that was our additional discussion. Any other discussion before we take a vote? All right, we have a motion on the table by Commissioner Mose to recommend approval of 12.10.050, a second by Commissioner Taylor. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Ned's not here. All right, that passes unanimously with the four of us. Okay, we're done with public hearings. Thank you. I feel like that too. Have a cookie. We're up to discussion items, which have been very helpful in the past to make those public hearing items supposedly go quicker. Those didn't feel fast, but that was pretty fast. All right, subdivision improvements. Someone want to speak to that?
I was going to tell you all about it.
Yeah, you're stuck with me today. I'm the guy. All right. So we are defining subdivision improvement agreement, which we're defining it as a written agreement between the city and developer wherein the developer agrees to complete all the required improvements exhibited in the subdivision improvement plans. So we're just having them sign this agreement to be like, we're going to do the thing we said we're going to do. It's implied throughout, but it was not explicit by name. And so all of this is doing is putting subdivision improvement agreement, naming it throughout the relevant sections, and then we're adding it in our definition section. Let's see. We're also including it as a requirement for the final plat, which was already implied. And then adding a few things to the final plat as well, like financial guarantee for construction, and the engineering estimate of cost, which was already part of it, but it was formatted weird. And then in this section, we're saying that no final plat will be approved until they've submitted their subdivision improvements agreement. So pretty simple. We're just adding language in there to include subdivision improvements agreements.
Is this not just, I don't know, I feel like we have an ordinance and people should abide by it. And I know that doesn't always work out as pretty as it does. Tell me
So-
we're not just adding a layer of red tape.
Let me outline where this would be super useful. There's a subdivision. Why not? Let's just name it. Juniper Trail subdivision took 3 years to get done. And it was painful. And, you know, there was some drama with the developer, and it was kind of a family owned thing. And so they were kind of looking at each other about who's responsible for these things. And the city went to try to call their bond for us to pay for it out of the money that they left with the city. And it ended up being this big legal drama and mess. And there's still a couple things that haven't quite been done, but the bond has expired and we are kind of left with cleaning up a mess. And this would have been super helpful, because what this is going to do is the developer is going to sign on the dotted line saying, I will have these things done by this time. And if I don't, then here's the way the city can fix my problems for me. And here's the method by which they can get the money from the bank. And it's just a way for us to protect ourselves if we have a development that goes awry. And sure, in the code right now, it's implied and there's a mechanism in place right now, but it's messy. And when we've tried to use it in the past, it has not been easy.
So you're adding a legally binding contractual obligation in writing.
Mhm.
Yes.
With a specified remedy.
This is the practice
Okay.
used by both of the counties that I worked for before. So I kind of borrowed this idea. The plat guarantees the division of the land, right? And the details that go with that division. The subdivision improvement agreements would record the conditions of the improvements themselves. The civil plans, right? The plat is the recording instrument for taking care of the land division, and the subdivision improvements agreement would be the recorded document that takes care of the civils. And so they go hand in hand, they go together. But having it recorded means that anybody can find that information at any time. It's on their permanent record for the subdivision, and the contract is definite, right? There's not a lot of ways to get around it once it's recorded.
So you're no longer enforcing a code in the city code. You're no longer enforcing city code. You're enforcing a legal contract.
We're requiring them to enter into a contract that they will do these subdivision improvements agreements exactly like they said they
And
would.
that's an easier thing to enforce than proving code.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The other way this is going to benefit is right now we have a lot of developments coming through wanting to do private utilities. So we've got these multifamily projects saying we're going to have a private road so it doesn't have to match the city spec. And we're going to have, you know, these private utility lines. And so what we're finding out as some of these are starting construction is it's a mess. And we don't have great records of what's going to be private, what's going to be public. And so what this would allow us to do is when somebody comes in and says, I'm going to have this private road, we can list in this contract, which will be recorded, here's your public improvements, here's your private improvements. So in 10 years, when the residents come to the city and say, you need to fix our road, and the developer's long gone, we can pull out that agreement and say, well, actually, the asphalt is your responsibility. The city will maintain, maybe we maintain the pipes underneath, but you guys need to band together as an HOA and take that fee you've been collecting and resurface your own road.
So where this is getting recorded, then is it going to be recorded in such a way that it will show up on each individual property, not just as a whole? so that when they run title reports for initial sale and resales, their preliminary title report is going to show this development agreement. That way, when people purchase it and they sign that they've read it, they can't come back later and say, city, you're responsible for it. Nope, you read your prelim.
You said you read it.
That's, yeah, what you say, like people sign for CCNRs, who really ever reads them?
Right.
Besides
do.
me. It's like this, it's,
And
yeah,
that's why you're on planning commission.
yeah, you should be reading those, but I can see where this would be a good shield for the city down the road. And as long as it shows up in the record adequately recorded so that it shows up in each individual. property.
Especially when some of these approved subdivisions are immediately sold to a different developer, right? We need the contracts to follow with the land and with the plat.
And the recording will make it run with the land.
Correct.
So talk to me about the process or when this comes into play or who it comes before,
This subdivision improvement agreement would go right along with the plat.
preliminary, final.
We want to see your template, right, at preliminary, and then we want the signature ready version at final. You sign it and hand it over to Cindy, just like you do your Mylar. And then they both get recorded at the same
Before
time.
anyone digs anything. Unless you're a district.
That's your school district. That's right.
Because normally if it was a separate contract like this, if it was not recorded, they would have to do an assignment and they would have to accept the contract, the next person. Whereas if you record it, it's running with the land. By virtue of purchasing that land, you
Except
take that contract
Yes.
with the land. It cannot be separated,
It's already
separated.
already done deal.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Sounds like a good move.
Okay, I give.
We'll leave it in box and you guys can read through it in more detail and take your time and we'll bring it back to you as a public hearing.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Next item, 6B, new LDR zone and standards. This would be our low density residential zone and standards.
Woohoo! It's here.
Woohoo.
We're very excited.
This is taking,
Somebody's hurts.
I'm excited about it.
I-
I've
when
spent
you-
hours on this.
I
thing.
get that.
Things
When
are
you
flying
When
summers.
you work on stuff like this, it does. And then yeah, it works its way into planning commission and city council and they're just kind of like, and I'm like, no, like this is a big deal.
This is where you get to nerd out and go, this. yes,
Yeah.
Right,
In the fine print, yeah.
I'm glad you have
I
a
appreciate
baby.
of course. Okay, so I'm just gonna go kind of slide by slide and then I'll ask for sort of questions, comments, and concerns. But first, we're repurposing because this is combining the residential use on agricultural and our current R2 zone. We're not allowing farms or, well, in this case, rural amenities. This is for development only. And then we're going to create separate agricultural protections for the agricultural zone. So this is no longer allowing development in ag. Is that a fair
Yes.
summary?
It's separating the uses of residential from agricultural and then putting the protections for the actual agricultural use where there's no residential in play. So this is taking the the A zone properties with a house on them and the R2 properties and putting them into one category. A zone properties that don't have a house on them, this is not part of that.
Oh, okay. If someone just has a field that's being farmed,
Yes.
that's different
We're
than
gonna
if,
protections on the A zone, and then we're taking the residential uses and combining them together into this low density zone.
and are we, like, some people I know live on, let's say 3 acres and have animals. Are
We're
we,
taking any rights from anybody to have,
right, but are we saying no more new ones of those?
not necessarily.
Okay.
What we're doing is we're changing the development standards for this zone, so naturally they won't occur that way.
I'll listen better.
Okay.
Commissioner Lee brought up in comments beforehand, a concern with hometown feel being legally defensible. Because this is a purpose statement, it is not legally binding. This comes from the general plan, over what they kind of wanted in what is now the R2 zone, preserving this sort of hometown feel. And so that's where I got this purpose statement from. If that's language that is not satisfactory. I'm not super tied to that, but I think it's relevant in the purpose section because that's when people are reading what this zone is supposed to do. I think that contributes to, oh, I want to do this sort of project in there.
And that's a term that we've heard in public comments over and over.
Sure.
Okay.
So I think by definition, most people would relate to that word.
Okay.
Everybody has a different
Right.
definition of it.
Of course.
Right.
But
We
the,
want to write this code so that people can open the code and read it and decide for themselves if this is the zone that they want.
okay. Are there any,
The townhome zone's not gonna say hometown feel. Got it.
they are not, fun
Got it.
fact. Okay, are there any comments on the purpose section before we
Any
move on?
more comments?
Okay. This is a pretty quick change. We're just, making it more concise. So the code as it is has separate sections for permitted, conditional, and prohibited uses. We're putting it all in one place and just saying permitted, conditional, prohibited uses. This is how I think all of the other or all of the other but one work. And so it's just,
It all goes to the land use table anyway, right?
right. It's the same thing 3 times.
We don't need 3 pages to tell us to look at the land use.
You could.
I know, controversial, but. All right, here is the meat of LDR. So the development standards, adding max dwelling unit per acre. So anyway, we're just ensuring that it's not overly dense in this area. So we're saying 4 per acre, so quarter acre lots. Reflecting that is our minimum and maximum lot area of 10,000 or 25,000 square feet. So this isn't going to be at maximum a half acre and at minimum a quarter acre lot. Each zone beyond this, and this is looking a little bit ahead, is going to leave off on the last number. So that one is going to be our MDR is maximum 10,000, minimum 7,500. And then the next zone is going to be maximum 7,000. So this is setting up for our other zones as well, just creating a hierarchy of lot sizes. And then we're removing, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, that max lot area, we're not letting anyone build on a lot bigger than 25,000 feet.
We're not gonna have them rezone to this zone and then split their lots bigger than 20.
Combine their lots or,
Or split them up. Right, if they've got a giant parcel and they're ready to chop them up into pieces, the max they're gonna do is 25,000 square feet in their subdivision
Per lot.
per lot. We have time to think about it and bring back comments. Remember, this is discussion.
oh, I'm all for it. I'm just, yeah.
The math can math as long as you need it to math. Sure. Keep going.
How eloquent.
You don't have to stop at my face.
We're removing subdivision bonus density because we're offering higher density options in our next wave. So
It becomes irrelevant then because it's already available in a different
precisely.
zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're decreasing the maximum lot width. This is just reflective of our decreased area. So you can't have 115 feet area and then anyway, it's how the math works.
So the minimum lot width is matching the new.
It's
smaller-
proportional.
Okay.
I looked at other codes who use that size and this is what they use for their width.
And this isn't frontage. This is just at any point, you can't go more narrow than 70 feet wide. You can't have an hourglass shaped lot.
Precisely. Yep. Okay. Any comments, questions, concerns with this first wave of standards? Okay.
I just one thing, the max lot area, I'm just wondering how that's gonna be accepted. Or if it's gonna be misconstrued as, wait, I've got a 3-acre lot and I want to put a house on it. And you're saying I can't do it now? I'm wondering if that's what a lot of people are gonna say when they don't understand this is actually referring to rezoning and subdividing.
We may have to do some public education and I answer lots of
So-
phone calls and lots of emails all the time. I mean, that's just part of my job is answering those questions. So I'm happy to answer those questions.
And even then, if someone has a 2-acre lot and they say, well, I want to give half of it to my kids, to my kid, one, because I don't like the other one. And
Two.
Naturally.
I have 4. I only like one of them.
He only wants to give 1 acre to one. The other 3 are out.
And they're gonna say, well, I can't divide it now into 2 1-acre lots and then build on it. And this is saying, no, you can't.
To inherit them for smaller lots.
And then they wouldn't be able to build on, combine those 4 lots.
Not if it was in a platted subdivision.
Are we going to distinguish between the mom and pop, so to speak, versus the developer? Like if it's just one person doing a lot split for a family?
It would still be a minor subdivision if they're doing a lot split.
So all the rules that would go apply to a developer on a minor subdivision would apply to a mom and pop that's subdividing. Is there a way we can separate those out?
We specified the
not-
difference between minor and major. We
Yeah.
said it had to do with needed improvements.
Right. But what we're doing, remember, is we're getting rid of these giant lots with giant houses. They can't financially
Right.
support themselves in this economy, and we as a city can't.
City can't afford it.
We can't afford these anymore. So
That's-
we have to take this stance of, we can't allow these large lots and large homes. It's just not.
So if
It's
someone
not
on
feasible.
3 acres would have to go through the subdivision process, for them financially, it'd be better to leave one
If
house on
they
3 acres.
Have their 3 acres and they want.
And one house.
We're not gonna keep them from building. This doesn't keep anybody from building it.
It's just they
just
can't give
split off
more
to
than,
anyone
That's
else.
Time to divide, you can't just cut it in half. If you're gonna subdivide, then you subdivide.
Or leave it big.
Yes.
It's financially more viable to stay 3 acres than it would sound like. Keep it within the family and just build another structure on it.
You can only do one structure per parcel.
One
It-
resident.
unless it's a
Yeah, if somebody want to do an ADU or something.
ADU,
that.
but
But if they want to divvy it up,
Yeah,
they're
you
gonna
can't.
have to, split it into smaller pieces. Yeah. The
Hmm.
days of hoarding big swaths of land are financially coming to an end for all municipalities. For people who like to hoard land.
that's the one thing I would say we need to research and discuss more is that maximum lot area,
I agree.
whether it's, half an acre or an acre or 25,000 square feet, which is just a little less than half an acre, isn't it?
Mhm.
I think.
A little more.
Oh, it's a little more than,
More than half an acre.
so, which, yeah.
Half an
That's
acre is
still bigger
big.
than we want, yeah.
Half an acre is big.
Yeah, I've got a third and I'm happy with it, but if someone gave me an extra little bit and made it a half acre, I wouldn't say no,
That's more than half.
so.
Okay, so look at these numbers, maybe draw them out. And see where this could fit in our city. We don't have a lot of giant parcels left. We're gonna be doing a lot of infill over the next few years, and so there's really not a lot of places for big lots to even exist.
So for example, the parcels that are right now zone is agricultural down close to Wolfpack Way.
Like
If
50
someone
east.
wanted to rezone that to build a house on, or would they even have to? If they wanted to leave leave it the way it was and build one house on it,
Built.
could they do that?
You could,
Leave it the way it was and build one house.
And it would stay
When it
agricultural.
came to-
Mhm.
No, once you build a house on it, it's not agricultural, it's residential.
well, that's the goal. Today's code, you could build one house in the ag zone on a ginormous lot. That's fine. But the goal eventually is to get to the point where the only parcels that are going to have the true ag zoning are ones that have an ag use happening on them. Somebody just wants a massive
Without a-
house
without
and a
a
massive
house.
lot. We want to get a residential zoning for them because we want to make sure we're protecting the actual agricultural uses, right? If somebody wants to have a farm, Hyde Park is very ag friendly and we want to preserve that. But we don't want that to be used as a shield just to go and have a really big lot that's not sustainable for the city to have.
So would we not allow someone to have a home on a property that they are doing agricultural uses on?
It would no longer be zoned agriculture. It would be zoned residential. The
And once it's zoned
primary use would be
residential, would they be allowed to do any agriculture on it? Like if they had a 4-acre lot, they could build a house and then still do agriculture.
Yes, we want to have a
Okay.
little goat farm in the back, have your goat farm in the back, as long as you follow the codes, that would be fine.
No, we're not removing anybody's rights. We're not removing anybody's ability to do anything on that property. This just comes into play when it's time to subdivide, split up the property.
We're also not suggesting that anybody who lives on a lot right now should go in and mess up what you have going for you, right? If you live on one of these lots right now, leave it. Great. What we're saying is future developments in the city can't continue the pattern we already have, or we will be in serious trouble financially. Like
Got
the big lots we have now are enough. If
So
we
as it
keep the
stands right-
pattern going, we are going to be in trouble.
So as it stands right now, our finances are not sustainable with our existing residences.
Correct. Correct.
So at what point are we better to merge with an adjacent city?
Everybody wants to. take some
Financially.
for the fish.
No, I'm just,
jumped.
no, I'm just wondering at what point, if we're not financially viable, because to me, what makes Hyde Park is our difference from the adjacent. But at what point do we look at the sustainability if we can't get that to that point? You're thinking, at what
We
point is
don't-
it better
we
to
don't
start
want
merging
We
stuff?
want to plan ahead so that we don't have to.
Yeah,
And
I
is
don't-
that,
Take care.
I don't
is that
want the problems that
possible?
our neighbors have. It's very possible.
So commercial can make up for this. And
if we can get them?
And if we go this direction, then these make up for them, they cover themselves and they subsidize the big ones we already have. It does both.
So with this is potentially sustainable if this plays out the way that we're thinking it would with
If-
this.
Planning it. Yes. That's the goal, is to keep Hyde Park and to keep Hyde Park taking care of itself.
Yeah, but if you let that 25,000 get bigger, we're in trouble.
Even the
That's
twen-
why we
even
have
if-
a maximum now. We've never had a maximum before.
No.
Yeah, it was always, you can go as big as you want, but you can't be
At a minimum.
too small.
Right.
We're shifting that and saying, you know, we're adding an upper boundary as well. Because really when you're at the 1/4 acre lot, that's when you start reaching the point of maybe we can keep up. And we're not making money on this, but we have a good chance of keeping up with what's happening. So really, if we're just doing it based off residential property tax alone, we need to be looking at the 24 plexes all across the board. But since that's not the plan, we're not doing that major shift. We're saying, let's move the single family to a more sustainable route. And we already have the rooftops coming along Wolfpack Way to start being an incentive for businesses to come in. So I feel like we're doing good things, but yeah, we can't keep incentivizing the thing that got us into the trouble in the first place.
Okay, so I want a big house on a big lot. So I go in a subdivision, I buy 2 smaller lots, I bypass the city, I go to the county and I have those combined. But then I come to you to build on it, and that's where you say, nope. Is that
That's
correct?
Where we say
That's how that works?
your plat says that you were 2 separate lots, so you need to put it back.
Or they need to keep them separate, pay taxes on both properties.
We are currently discussing with the city attorney, the question that came up previously was if somebody's in a platted subdivision, can we have an outright prohibition on combining of lots? We're looking into that with the attorney now.
And they can keep them separate, like you say, but they wouldn't be able to build on that line. They'd have
Right.
to
They'd
build
have to
with
build
the
within one.
setbacks, right, within
Make Under
one,
one their yard.
right.
Okay, we ready for the next page?
And I was gonna say regarding the density, so far we're doing it well. Having lived
Hey,
through that we don't
oh, go
always think
ahead.
about, put density in the wrong location. We were talking about the cost of infrastructure. You put it in the wrong location, a longer stretch of infrastructure wears out a lot faster versus if you have it in the right location, you only have a short section of infrastructure that wears out faster because you've got hundreds more cars going on a short section. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And we get potholes here way faster because we have weather.
All right, Heather, go ahead.
Was she just talking or was she unmuted?
Heather,
I
you
was
coming?
I was just gonna say, I need to go. I'm so sorry.
It's getting so exciting.
I know, and I wish I could stay. I stepped
bringing
away
it
from something I'm in charge of for 2 hours and I've got to go back. I'm sorry.
You can watch the
So-
rest of the discussion on YouTube at your leisure.
Okay,
can
I
download
apologize, but I was
No,
here for
thank
2 hours. Have that noted.
Thank you, Heather.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, let it be noted on the minutes. If it's about 10 after 9 or 9:11 on this clock, and Heather is leaving the meeting.
Can I go too?
And Mike cannot leave yet.
We're gonna get through this quickly so you can.
Yeah, this is the last major slide. So we're reducing the setback requirements. This is not only because we're having smaller lots, so having a 30-foot setback wouldn't necessarily make sense, but this comes at recommendations from both the building department and the engineering firm that we work with. They really like 20 feet, or at least 15 feet.
Front.
Front.
Yes, sorry. Oh, shoot, I should have that open. Yes. Apologies, I should have specified that. Yes, this is for the front setback. The rear and side are not changing. Anyway, they like that for utilities. So at least 15 feet. So as we get to our higher densities, we're gonna see 15 feet, but 20 feet to maintain that sort of, again, that hometown feel. You still have a yard, but it's a little bit lower. And then
Does that? I think one of the biggest reasons we have 30 feet right now is not just because it's further back from the street, but it's because you can put a car without any problem in the driveway without it hanging off into the sidewalk. What effect does that have? Because I know that my truck, which isn't the longest truck, is probably more than 20 feet long, or right around 20 feet long.
You should make sure that your garage is not poking out further than your house when you build.
Well, the garage is, or whatever part of the house is furthest toward that's where we measure the setback from.
The setback should be from the property line, not the street.
So typically your property line, you
Right.
got 1 foot and then the sidewalk starts.
Yeah, and so I think
According-
Mike's saying that. He knows he doesn't want to have his truck over the sidewalk where people are walking.
According
not worried
to
about the-
Google, the average length of modern pickup trucks ranges from 17 to 21 feet. With most of the trucks compact to midsize that we see around here, you're looking at just under 20 feet. So in theory, most trucks, you would be able
Yeah,
to
that's
fit
if
just-
you're that far away from the garage door.
Well, no,
and then
because it's
that's-
20 feet plus your, yeah.
Who parks their
I-
car in their
I-
garage?
I have a club, crew cab, so it's a
Mhm.
two rows, and I've got the full-size bed. I don't have the short bed, but it's not the long bed either, and it's just under 20 feet.
You can still do a 30-foot setback if you're a guy with a big truck. We're not saying you can't do a 30-foot setback. We're saying if you drive a smaller car, you could do a 20-foot setback.
Okay. So
So that's the
I get it.
minimum.
It's
They can
not
go
the-
bigger if they want.
it's not the maximum, it's the minimum.
that's the minimum.
Correct.
Got it.
If you want.
Sorry.
Yard, you could take.
Okay.
Is that the last? Oh, not the last.
No. Sorry. We also have a lot coverage maximum that we are adding. This is new, but we're redefining it to include all structure coverage, so your accessory and main structures and your impervious surface area. So this is to prevent concrete or asphalt or whatever that prevents the seeping of water. And so then it becomes your neighbor's problem or sits there until it evaporates. And so on these larger lots, we're saying maximum on your lot is 50%.
The city, whether I don't know if you know this or not, we got a stormwater audit from the state that's been going on for about a year and a half. It's been brutal.
That's a long audit.
And yeah, one of the things that we're being looked at is how we're dealing with stormwater as a whole. And this is something that's come up often enough that it's been a concern. A lot of these properties will go in and build a house and then pool and then an ADU, and then they concrete everything in, and then also we're going to put a pickleball court or an RV pad. Before you know it, there's no, we're like, great, no grass to water, but suddenly when every time it rains, there's waterfalls coming off their property into their neighbor's yard, which is a problem. And so what most cities that we've been looking at, and Kyle's been looking at, they have the same requirement because you need some sort of dirt, some kind of grass, some kind of landscape area where that water can infiltrate so it doesn't just fly off your property into your neighbor's yard.
Do we have other code sections that help? Like I've seen properties that wouldn't even come close to 50%, but yet drain on their neighbor. Those are caught in other codes? Or,
So this is now including impervious surface area, which it did not previously. So that's going to be, anyway, it's a engineering term, but any area that water cannot seep in. So I imagine those properties probably have some sort of surface area because previously the lot coverage requirement was only structures.
or location makes a difference
No
too.
roof.
Even
Well,
if it's less.
you had no map,
It's hardly any.
And what?
not
R2
very
had no
considerable.
maps.
Like,
so this just sets
I
it
get
up
it,
for
yeah.
success. Stormwater wise.
But yeah, we have other codes in place where if somebody's leaking their stormwater onto their neighbor, there's things that could be looked at to try and help with that.
Because everyone should be taking care of their own runoff. It shouldn't be going to their neighbor.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's it for that slide. Any further comments, considerations?
Oh, we would have said it.
Okay, there was a lot of language that did not make sense, so I decided to scratch it all. So this superscript references things that don't exist or are not relevant. It was a artifact from a time that I was not a part of, so it is gone. This superscript references the table, the site standard, or site development standards table itself. So it's just reiterating everything we said. in
Thank
the table
you.
above.
Thank you.
So we are taking that out. Also, every single zone has an accessory setbacks table that looks something like this. We are going to move this over to 12.100.12, the site development standards table. That's what I was thinking of. And we're just going to reference that. And then we're going to put the table there. So every single zone is just going to reference that instead of repeating the same information in every single zone beneath the table.
Thank you. The last, I don't know, edit or something that I looked at on that, it did jump from like class A to B or whatever. It went from up to 400 and the next one started at 450. Like there was a gap between 4 and 450
Okay.
in one of those edits. So
I will keep that in mind as we
looks
copy
like
and
that's
paste
been,
over.
okay, that looks like that's been corrected.
Okay. Yeah. So, that's not really any substantive change. It's just clean up to make it look better and not have any unnecessary language.
Love it.
Okay. Are there any final comments before we move on to our last discussion item? Fantastic. Okay, this one should be pretty quick. So the Public Works huh?
Keep going.
You making fun of me?
No.
The Public Works Department, for my record, since 2021 has requested a prohibition on hammerhead turnarounds. This has not been in code. And so anyway, they requested of me, knowing that I am the code guy, to add this in. And so I did. So we are adding a prohibition on hammerhead turnarounds in both public and private streets. The private one is more for the fire department because they have a lot of trouble backing up fire trucks. It's also not covered under the insurance if there's any damage to the fire truck while backing up. So hammerhead designs are not feasible. It's also used as it shouldn't be. So people will often park trailers or have a basketball court or whatever, which can be a safety concern if a fire truck needs to access it. So we're just getting rid of them And then the other,
That's a lot of extra space that you're asking them to do in these townhome subdivisions. I mean, these townhome developments.
and then the other, sorry,
The private.
yes. Is it here or is it up there? Anyway, it's going to, here it is. Public utilities must not be placed within or beneath a private residential lane or road. This is so that if something happens to a public utility beneath a private road, it doesn't become the city's problem to dig down and then
Replace
the road.
We
and
can
pave
replace
it.
grass cheaper than we can replace a road.
And
Precisely.
that wasn't already in there somewhere.
No, we're,
Requested this specifically, so.
Makes sense.
So these are the two, public works requests that they wanted to get done. So here it is. Any final comments, questions, concerns, queries, quips?
Quick clarification on the insurance thing. It's not that they won't cover it. It's that our specific insurance provider has a backing policy where you're supposed to have a flagger or a spotter back there helping you back up. When we have the snowstorms that we do, there aren't enough people to load 2 up in a truck to be doing the plowing. Everybody's in their own vehicle. And so in order for us to comply with everything and have our insurance give us the thumbs up on any potential problems, we don't want to be put in a situation where we have to back the snowplows up. They draw the routes out specifically so they don't have to back up. And so having a hammerhead turnaround would just cause a situation where we may face getting into an accident or having something happen, and our insurance company could say, oh, you didn't follow our policy of having your flagger, so we're not going to cover that. That's no,
Sorry, I misunderstood.
you're good.
We're gonna leave all of these in box, for the next week or so until we get them into an actual ordinance and then move them into the next week's meeting. So they're there for you to do the math on and, think about. And if you have questions or anything like that, you can come see me, you can email us, give us a call. We're happy to answer any questions about it.
Yeah, one interesting exercise with these new zones is to do Melinda's favorite thing to do. Just pay attention to subdivisions as you drive through them, look at them, say, do I like this? Do I not like this? And then you can pop onto the county parcel viewer and try to find it and look at the lot sizes and try to do a little measurement of the setbacks and see how does it affect. I like to use my subdivision as an example for the 1/4 acre lot. We're full 1/4 acre lot subdivision. And it doesn't feel tight or compact. It looks a little tight compared to our 1/2 acre lots, but it's a really nice place, subdivision, full of families, full of kids. It's a great place for people in my same life situation to live.
yeah, I just pulled up my daughter's home in Syracuse and Mike and I think it's more than 50% lot coverage. With just a little patio in back and the driveway in front and just skinny sides.
But that's,
They probably have specialty stormwater.
well, remember also that what they're talking about here is what is it, 10,000 square feet and up.
Yes.
If we wanted to do like new, first time homeowner starter homes, that may be a different, like the, senior lots. Why am
55 and older.
I'm just, yeah.
It might be
Yeah,
too
the
late
senior-
to be in a
Senior,
meeting.
I'm a 10-year senior here. So I'm having a rough time tonight. That must be past my bedtime already.
I-
But yeah,
I did look
Yes,
at it.
because you're not gonna be here. Go ahead and tell.
Okay.
Kyle's gonna chime in.
Our future zones have that. So like
Right,
MVR is
and-
60%, HDR 70%, and our small lot residential is going to be 80% maximum. So the maximum is going to increase as we get smaller to allow for those situations.
right. The one thing that I'm grateful for is that we're not putting a McMansion on a big lot.
We just can't afford to
Take,
maintain.
put the biggest house you can on that lot. And that's, we see that a lot. Not here, but
I paid attention to a subdivision my sister-in-law lives in Provo, and they had bigger lots. And then the developer sold, the new developer re-subdivided the remaining section into much smaller lots with very small site. And something I would make note of is they're ending up with a lot of legal issues between neighbors because of how tight it is. People aren't accounting for basement window wells because that doesn't show on your plan. And when your basement window well goes right up against the fence line where someone wants to put a fence and they need an extra 3 inches, nobody's giving each other those 3 inches. And they're like, well, then I can't put a fence in. Well, then you're going to be on top of my window well. And if you make them force their window well in, then they aren't to code for their window well.
For fire safety,
Yeah, so
egress.
the tighter it is, we have to look at like lots more layers that we don't have to look at when there's more room.
Right.
It's getting nasty. It's better to avoid those things for our residents in the first place.
Well, I'm glad we've got, what, 10 foot on the side?
10 feet.
Yeah, that allows for, like, California, I know that there's lots of developments there. You're talking about a 4 foot, 5
Yeah.
foot. You're just going, whoa, they're right on top of each other.
But
You
I
know,
like,
You're shaking people's hands out the windows.
You hear everything. But
at
the
the other
cans-
lot.
it's the tin cans with the string in between and your kids are.
There's no string needed.
I saw a video actually last night of 2 houses that overran the eve overhang rule and
All
their
right.
eaves touch each other. Neither one can put up a
Rain gutter?
Gutter.
a gutter. Neither one can put up a
Oh.
gutter because their eaves are too close, but it's the same kind of thing. You have to.
You don't think.
If they do
they're-
that right, they could just shoot it right out the end of it.
To consider the eve overhang and the window wells and everything.
Yeah,
So,
all of that. It gets complicated.
We got our eyes on her.
Okay,
All
All right.
Garrett, back to
I
you.
make a motion.
I second it. I'm reading your mind.
All right, pay attention to your agenda. Next, I will not be here next time. Mike Mose has agreed to,
What?
it's not conduct, is it conduct? Yeah, it's conduct.
Chair.
Chair. Mike will chair the meeting. Heather's going to give the opening remarks. You probably ought to know that.
Thank you.
And I'll zoom in if I can, but I will have 5 kids, 8 and under, like.
Just don't unmute.
You do not want comment from me.
They may have better comments than we have.
That sounds fun though.
All right. We have a motion and a second and
9:30.
9:30. We're thorough.
the meeting's adjourned.
We're thorough.
Thank you.
Oh, you got me, Brian.
Apologies.
And